Hello guys, today's gonna be a little bit different. I'm gonna take you guys on my usual day-to-day here in the studio. And while my vlogs are usually just in subtitles, for this one I thought might as well just do a voiceover, and I'm not gonna be showing any final product from my studio time with you since I didn't want to pressure myself to create a new song for a new video. So this is just me in the studio, not really trying to finish something but just showing up and doing my work. But as always, there is something that I wanted to share with you guys, just a little insight that I recently have been thinking about. So recently I gained a really helpful perspective when it comes to work and doing projects. As a person who struggles a lot with perfectionism and performing, I often focus on output. And as someone who tries to focus on output, I end up usually wanting to finish everything that I do all the time. So that means that if I don't finish something, I feel like a failure. And with that kind of standard, I'd feel like a failure pretty much every day. Weirdly, you could say that my ambition became my idol. It's this strange thing, like you're trying to befriend a monster that wants to eat you. You know, it really just doesn't work out. So what's this new helpful thing that I learned? It's actually from a secular productivity perspective from this guy named Nur Eyal. He says that to-do lists are one of the worst things to live by if we want to be truly productive and effective. And obviously I gasped as I stared at my long to-do list. He says that to-do lists are dangerous because they don't have any constraints. And if you always write down things you have to do, it would be an endless stream, and inevitably you'd just drown in them. So that idea caught my attention, especially knowing that this is what it meant for the Jews in Jesus' time to be heavy laden. The problem with the Jewish culture at that time was that there were too many rules they had to follow, and those were the very heavy laden people that Jesus was calling. So that made me think, am I actually burying myself under an unnecessary amount of work? Nur Eyal mentions that taking those things from your to-do list and blocking them out on a calendar instead is a better way to go. And the reason is because studies have shown that we're more likely to accomplish things when we set a time and a place to do them. Sounds simple enough, right? But this is my favorite part about that. He says the metric for success is not actually getting things done. This method is not about finishing a project or producing the most output. Instead, the metric for success is simply that you showed up as you said you would. It's, did you do what you said you were gonna do for as long as you said you would, without distractions? In other words, in that span of time, did you practice personal integrity? Or as Jesus would say, did you let your yes be yes? Personally, I love how this perspective focuses on character rather than productivity. And though this comes from a secular perspective, I think it really agrees with much biblical wisdom. Not only does this perspective give me peace when I get overwhelmed with a lot of things to do, but it also helps me to focus on the main thing. When we don't focus on the endless list of things that we have to do, but instead on how we actually spend our time, doesn't it make you think, is how I spend my time actually helping me to be the person that I want to be? And personally, the question is, does how I spend my time accord with the kind of person that God wants me to be? Think about it. What we value and who we become always translates into big and small decisions we make with our time. So it's no longer, did I accomplish all those 25 tasks today? It can be, did I intentionally rest so I can practically surrender my work to God today? Or because I said I wanted to be more prayerful, did I actually take those 5-minute little prayer breaks in my day because God wants me to talk to Him more? In general, I know that time blocking isn't necessarily the answer to all our problems, and though it may sound a bit granular, I think this insight could be for someone who's watching. But eventually, I hope that it becomes a habit for us to focus on our integrity rather than our productivity. And just maybe we could be more like who God wants us to be. Because at the end of the day, isn't that the point? Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you picked up something from it. This is actually relevant to me as I'm working on my album right now. It's so easy to drown in thousands of little tasks that come into a big project like that, but I wanted to be intentional with how I spend my time. I didn't want to be anxious about all those things and forget my actual priorities. And speaking of the album, I will be focusing on it more in these next months, so I might not be able to upload videos as much. Not that it really matters, but just in case you're waiting, that's the reason. But anyway, thanks for